For Euronics versus Impact Gaming, you already stated that you expect Impact Gaming to take on Euronics here because they're only with their B squad here. But what are the major things that we have to look at in the next game? Is it going to be once more the focus on the junglers, or you pointed it out in the last game, it was top, mid, and the bot, all important. So what are you expecting here for our next game?
It depends on the team comps that the teams decide to go for, but I don't think that they're going to go for the super carries all over the place. It's really hard to execute, and Gameizer could go for that, trusting that each and every single player will be skillful enough to handle that pressure, and they indeed were. Like, you could see the Fiora diving Renekton in the second minute of the game already. You could see an amazing gank from Elise in the bottom lane right after just doing one camp in the jungle. So yeah, these guys just had amazing ideas, and all of them just worked out for them. Nothing backfired really. Later on they had some struggles, but these didn't matter already in the long run as Supernova were too far behind. Here, I think it's all going to go down to the jungler. If Euronics can make their jungler play better, or actually just show up on the map, just participate in the game a little bit more, they're going to have it. In my opinion, Euronics really stand a good chance of winning this match. But if their jungler plays the same as he did in the first match, I'm going to have to give it to Impact Gaming.
Yeah, once again, taking a little look at the bets, it also looks like the viewers might agree with you because the bets are flowing in once more for Euronics Gaming, even though a lot of people lost their betties in the first game that we saw between Gameizer and Euronics. So that might not be the safe bet everybody is expecting right here.
Yeah, it definitely is not a safe bet in here. I can surely say that. But well, go ahead, go for the risk. After all, as I mentioned, it all goes down to whether they figured out how to use their jungler well. So could as well be a good one. Could as well be a good call to bet for Euronics right here. And then when they face off against Supernova, I believe they will also stand a chance with their jungler figured out. Because after all, Gameizer showed to be a class higher, showed to controllably just chip it away and take over Supernova. If Euronics did quite fine against Gameizer, because yeah, they lost the match, they lost quite one-sidedly, but I could definitely feel the potential in Euronics. And now if they bring out that potential in the form of their jungler, most importantly, why not? Why not? They can win both against Impact Gaming and then against Supernova.
Yeah, but that still has to be seen in the future. First of all, let me quickly remind you of what is in the pot for you today. If you want to take part in our giveaway today, you have the chance to win one of those little figurines of LOL characters. Today on the line is a Firecracker Jinx. So if you haven't placed your bet already, just do so by using our currency here. And our currency, those are the betties. You just gain them by watching the stream. So it's always good if you check that out here and just go ahead. And maybe also place a bet on Impact Gaming, because right now nobody really seems to want to put some betties on Impact here. And that's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising. It's always worth to go for 10 like Nairo like just did. And he did it in the first match, that's taking 1,000 betties for just one bet. I mean, imagine how many tickets you would buy for it. It's at least 40 tickets, and that pretty much is a guaranteed win on that Firecracker Jinx figurine. Well, anyway, just waiting for all the players to set up, to get ready, probably for Euronics to finish their motivational speech, so that they get their jungler going. And Impact Gaming, I hope that they won't disappoint me right here, because they're fighting for the top spots in the Italian league. I don't know if I'll find it so quickly, but I saw their top laner actually saying Yeah, next week they're playing Team Forge and Outplayed to fight for the first place in their league. So yeah, Outplayed is right at the top of the league here in Italy, and Impact is also fighting for it. So Outplayed already got eliminated from the competition pretty quickly, ending up on the fourth place in Group A. And now Impact Gaming is not doing so well. So if they also end up being on the fourth place, that shows us that the Italian League of Legends still has a little way to go before they take part in these international tournaments, you know.
Yeah, probably. But to be honest, I think that Impact Gaming, they're looking way stronger than Outplayed have looked in all the games in Group A. So I feel like Impact might be the team to leave a better impression here at the end of the day.
Might definitely be the thing, and even though they might look a little bit stronger or whatever, Outplayed was actually sitting at the top of the league, and when uh, they were playing, when Impact Gaming was playing against Outplayed last time, they got 1-1, if I'm not mistaken, so they tied up, so Outplayed was able to win that one game, and it just shows that they still like orbit around each other and are at pretty much the same level at a very similar skill level, and that's quite worrisome. It definitely has to be a little bit. Just simply walking into this match, they themselves, by judging by the score lines, might see that, and hopefully it won't be like completely demotivating for them. Hopefully they keep their self confidence and just give their best, just show what they can do in here. Because once again, as I mentioned, I still think that the team that wins this match will have a shot at winning with Supernova. It's not yet set that it's got to be Gameister versus Supernova once again in the finals. And I would love to see it finally change, because in both Group A and B, we saw the same outcomes. The winners match was replayed later as the finals, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd also be up for a change here. So far, we've always seen the ones that really stood up in the first games, and this time we were Gameister and Supernova. They were also the ones to meet in the final of the group stage. So some kind of a change here would also be a thing. We were also talking about it, that it's only a best of one that we're playing here throughout the group stage. So far, none of those teams that are maybe a bit worse than their opponent, they still did not use that lucky shot that they actually have to just win the one game against an even stronger opponent. So there's still the possibility that one of those teams, like Euronics or Supernova, even though if they make it versus Supernova, they still have that shot against Gameister even. So nothing is decided in this group, and that's what still keeps it interesting for us.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I expected this group to be the closest. It's not as close maybe as I thought, but as you said, the ball is still in the air. Right? Anything is still possible. I don't think that's all of the three teams that remain here, other than Gameister, will have a chance of grabbing the first spots in the group. But hell, anything can happen in League of Legends. After all, as I mentioned, Supernova got pretty close, so. Had that Oriana landed a good ult, had Renekton been in the middle of the team fight when his team needed him, possibly they could have turned it all into their favor, turned the tides overall. But yeah, that remains to be seen if they indeed do get to face off against Gameister once again, and if they will do just as well in the next match, because then could be just completely different.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen at home, get yourselves ready, because this is now where it starts to count. This is the first game where one of those teams will be eliminated from the tournament. So get yourselves ready, get something to eat or something to drink, and make yourselves comfy, because the players, they're also just taking their time, getting ready, maybe talking about, okay, what do we have to do better? How can we maybe support our jungler? That might be the talk going on at Euronics Gaming right now. And for Impact, they just have to stay steady. They just have to keep it up and grab this first victory in order to make their road maybe to the group finals here.
It's a tough call. I just really want to see the game, actually. Usually I would say the picks and bans, but right here, Euronics, I don't think they lacked a lot on their picks and bans the first game they played. They even had a very good jungler, in my opinion. They had that Kha'Zix who had some impact on the game when he's finally shown up, but he just never really showed up. And for Impact Gaming, they also had a good top laner. Everybody was quite okay on their side, but they just proved to be a little bit weaker than Supernova. I don't want to say worse. I want to avoid that word because it's a little bit too strong. It's not like they got demolished entirely, but they were weaker indeed. So yeah, looking forward to this game. And once again, just to break it down, Impact Gaming coming into this match as the favorite in my eyes. But Euronics, they need just one small step to make it completely different. They could even stomp Impact Gaming easily if they want to. But for that, they
Yeah,
need to
the
play
viewers
as a 5-member team.
viewers definitely disagree here because look at that batting. So that's just 1.2k going on here in favor for Euronics Gaming. So they quite heavily believe in their team, but we've seen that going on in the first game of the day as well. So just to keep you informed about that.
Yeah, Euronics already managed to possibly disappoint some people out here who are looking for some easy tickets for our giveaways. And these giveaways are, of course, always open until the end of the game. After the last match of the day, we will be rolling the winner for the Firecracker Jinx figurine. And yeah, only 3 more matches put us away from that. So it's going to be half of the day already behind us and half more ahead of us. And right now, the really interesting stuff actually begins because in Game Miser versus Euronics, Game Miser were able to crush them. So Game Miser actually assumed the favorite title of this group, while Supernova went down to the losers bracket. But then they also were pretty impressive in this matchup, so we don't necessarily know what could happen when they face up against Game Miser again. And then I think Euronics and Impact Gaming should be a pretty evened out matchup. And whoever wins that could improve well enough and could have watched both the matches of Supernova to be able to beat them. So now the real eliminations begin, and everybody will just probably give their best right here. After all, you don't have to give much to qualify to these groups. Well, some of the teams got invited in here, and that was 8 teams overall. Some of the teams had to qualify through the closed qualifiers, but it didn't have to pay much to get into these qualifiers. So you might think that there's not so much on the line and the teams won't care so much, but then qualifying for the LAN finals is just a lot. Then you can fight for a bigger prize pool, then you can travel to Hamburg and it's all covered by ELC Gaming. Then you get some LAN experience, then you get to meet all these teams live and get to have some good time. Probably a very, very nice weekend out there in Hamburg.
Yeah,
Plus, it's already becoming pretty warm, so
thing.
maybe...
Yeah. That's the best thing about all those gaming events, because it's not always going about the tournament. It's also a big party. You get to meet your friends, you get to meet the people you play together, you get to meet other people, and maybe take a look at Hamburg. You might not get that possibility or the chance if you were not qualifying here for the tournament. So definitely some opportunities up for the grabs here, as well as some money. That should be enough motivation in order to give everything. And so far, even in the groups, we've seen some loser matches already where the teams really didn't stand a chance. Like yesterday, we were talking about Isu, but they were really rolling over their group. But still, in the loser match, we saw both teams really still fighting for that and advancing to the next round, just in order to maybe stand a chance against Isuba once more. So there's still a lot going on in those brains, and they're still trying to figure a way out to grab the victory here.
All right, so only a couple of minutes should be remaining until we get into the picks and bans of Impact Gaming versus ESG. I don't know if I wouldn't even call it the most important match in this group right now. because depending on the outcome, depending on how both the teams do right here, we might know if there are going to be some more upsets or if it's just going to be probably the end of the group as it stands. So the loser, of course, getting 4th place, the winner then going up against Supernova, losing, getting 3rd, Supernova losing against Game Miser, getting 2nd, and Game Miser, of course, qualifying for the LAN. That's if we don't get any surprises. But if this game is actually going to go as I expect, with Euronics developing themselves very much over that 1 or 2 hours of break that they got right here, and with Impact Gaming also giving their best, or actually playing on a similar level that they played against Supernova, because not much, they weren't missing so much right there, we could get a very big bloodbath in here. And then afterwards, of course, Supernova is not a guaranteed winner for you. And if they are not, then it means that they can pick it up like by 10%. They can play 10% better. And this might already be enough to take down Game Miser too. So this match will either decide everything in the group or will tell us that there's still an entire story just ahead of us.
Yeah, and talking about bloodbaths, definitely there's nobody out there that's able to complain about not seeing enough kills here in League of Legends, because we have seen a lot of kills in the recent games. Just remembering last game, about 50 kills going on there. So that's quite a huge number here. 30 to 20, if I remember that correctly. But we are ready to go. Euronics versus Impact. And the first ban from Euronics is Nunu.
All right. It's going to be the Nunu ban shown once again right here. And it was also a ban against Impact Gaming, if I remember correctly, by Supernova. I might be wrong, though. But we definitely saw a Nunu ban already today. So
I think we saw the Nunu ban from Euronics against Game Miser in the first game, but they did it as their last ban, if I remember that correctly. But I might be mistaken as well, because so much is happening right now.
Yeah.
But seeing those bans going on, we see a Syndra being banned. You already pointed out earlier today how strong of a mid laner that Syndra can really be. And on the other hand, Orianna and Lee Sin being banned. So
with
maybe
Orianna
this time
bans,
more. Please go.
With Orianna bans, possibly that Syndra was a reply to that, because we have not seen a Syndra today. And maybe after Impact banning Orianna, Euronics were afraid that they were aiming at that Syndra a little bit much to just eliminate the biggest threats next up. So, no idea. But unfortunately, due to the ban, we're never going to find out.
Once more, the Lulu ban coming in. And the Jace being banned. Yeah, we've seen some strong performances on that already today. It's going to be interesting now. What is Euronics Gaming going to pick? Because to be honest, I didn't really like their first composition in the game. You were fine with that, but I didn't really like to see that with the Nautilus on the top lane. That just was a bit too passive and didn't really seem to clip here for Euronics. So maybe they should go for something that is a bit more strong by dishing out damage. They go for the Karma again, so we still don't know. Are they going Karma bot lane, or are they going to pick that Karma again in the mid lane as they did in the first match? But that remains to be seen. Impact, on the other hand, going on with Caitlyn here.
Yeah, there's a huge possibility it's going to be a Karma mid lane for Impact. Aren't they going to go for the same standard they did go for in the first match? As I mentioned, in the top lane, there's a huge variety of champions that they can play. And they also played the Zion or Rakan. So seeing the success of the Zion or Rakan in the previous game, there's a huge chance we're going to get to see them in here again. Caitlyn and Ivern, that's what we do get to see overall in the first rotation of picks from Impact Gaming. So Ivern is once again not available right there for Euronics, which is apparently what they wanted to have in the first game. And it's going to be Elise instead of a Kha'Zix like last time. So my first worry is that he once again does not get the Ivern. And then we'll see how he does on Elise, because he got pre-fed on Kha'Zix and wasn't able to assassinate. Maybe on Elise he's going to pick up like the tower kind of approach from the previous game, where the ganks were just incredibly impressive.
Yeah, definitely. But also being careful about that LeBlanc that's being picked by Impact Gaming here. We've seen it how much of a threat LeBlanc can really be if she just steamrolls in the mid lane. And Karma going up against that, that might be a very difficult matchup here for Euronics Gaming. And you were talking about it so much already. The weak point for Euronics Gaming really seems to be their jungler here. And going up with that Elise might just not be what they wanted to see here.
Okay. I'm happy to see the LeBlanc. I'm definitely happy to see her, and now I'm wondering what it's gonna be from Euronics. If they're gonna find an answer for it, is it just gonna be that Karma in the middle lane to stay there? Because for now, it's turning for me into a little bit too standard of a pick. I mean, when you've got that protect the AD carry comp, when you've got a good AD carry like that Varus that we saw in one of the previous games, it's great. It's good to see these champions. It's good to see the Karma. It's good to see a very protective support like the Lulu, though she's banned right now, but possibly the Tamkinch. But when you're going for a Karma without a more complicated plan, without a bigger idea for her, it becomes not enough simply because on LeBlanc you've got that possibility to nuke down heroes in a matter of split seconds. On that Oriana you can get some really important shockwaves that can turn around the entire fight. On the Syndra you can just nuke somebody down once again with just a one click of a button. But on Karma, yeah, in the team fights she becomes pretty important. She can be quite good on some chases when she gets off that soul flare. That's okay, but then she's not going to be the mid lane Karma. We've got Ari and Kennen for the top lane from Euronics, and I love Kennen as a hero so much. I'm so happy to see him. But then Rumble on the other side from Impact Gaming. And then a Nami support. So I already said I'm going to be really content if they go for a Nami or Janna support. They did go for that Nami. They are pretty comfortable with the Rumble, so that's also what we're going to get to see. So both teams having really strong top laners that could completely make or break the team fights. Now I would love to see that actually in action, but it's usually for this kind of champions, it just takes a little bit more time to ramp up. So we're not going to see the Rumble, we're not going to see the Kennen for a big portion of the game. Only after the 15th minute, maybe they'll start participating in the big fights. Just wondering whether there's going to be some action in the top lane, whether it's going to be the Ivern or Elise ganking there, and whether overall we will see any ganks from Elise in the first place, because we know that Euronics' jungler just has some problems with participating in the game.
Yeah, but maybe that was also just a thing in the first game. Maybe that was just a bad game for him, a bad day to start it all off. Maybe we're just not... Yeah, maybe he's changing it all. That is definitely a possibility here for him, that he just, got the game on the wrong foot in the first place, and now he has a chance to redeem himself and to be the hero for his team, even if, like you were talking about it, he's able to get some nice ganks going on, probably on the top lane or even on the bot lane, because I expect that to be very important here in order to really support your Ashe with some more kills and get her fed.
So that's pretty interesting team comps that we do see all over the place. The Kennen, the Ari, with the addition of Karma and the initiative of having that Enchanted Crystal Arrow on Ashe, could be really strong. You could, after all, see it in the previous game, where Supernova, after all, lost against Gameiser, but they had some real nice Enchanted Crystal Owls that could turn around the entire game. They had these shockwaves that could turn around the entire game. So finally, when someone's got that decisive champion with decisive abilities that are extremely important in the team fights, finally somebody was able to use them in that way, actually, in the way that affected the entirety of the game. So here's a possibility once again, this time for Euronics Gaming, and good luck to them with that, definitely. For Impact Gaming, with trust on that Caitlyn, I am just afraid that Caitlyn sometimes just doesn't have a lot of flavor. Sometimes it also is a very plain carry, just like Karma in the mid lane could be. So there we go. Oh, the charm, so powerful. And yeah, there we go. It's going to be actually the Caitlyn to fall as the first one. Not only did she die, but also she used up the flash. And it already will make her so much more vulnerable in the very early stages of the game. Flash also burned by Jakissimo at the same time too. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Great beginning from ESG. So surely good luck to them with continuing that. Still, it's not going to change so much in the entirety of the game. It was Karma who got the first blood, also was the support. Everybody else got some assists right there. But definitely for the better start, some additional potions. It's actually the shoes, the boots of speed, and a fairy charm for Pandor out there. And Pandor actually played the Tamkinch last time. He was pretty important for the team when he got eliminated. I remember saying that it's really bad for Euronics Gaming because he always saved a lot of his teammates with the Devour. And for now, after the first blood, the entirety of the early game is going to be a little bit slower. Without the flash, Jakissimo cannot really risk a lot. So I don't think we will see many of like aggressive invades from him anymore. And actually it's Dawn Arts who walks into the red jungle just to spot out as that Ivern is running off after taking the blue buff. But he's keeping himself active. He's trying to control the jungle, he's getting some info for himself. And I'm happy to see that. I really like the junglers who are proactive instead of reactive. So Jakissimo gathering up his buffs, but keeping the jungle in check. Only his own jungle in check, actually. Dawn Arts is going to have the blue buff too, which is definitely going to be pretty important for him. Wondering once again, I'm going to repeat that, possibly getting your top lane rolling could be extremely important. Yesterday we saw a Rumble dominating a Shen and crushing him by over 120 creeps. So that's quite impressive, isn't it? Now, there definitely is a possibility of that happening against Dawn Arts. Once to prevent that from happening. Oh, there's going to be the stun from Kennen, but actually the stun from Elise misses. But now she's still going to dive the turret and get an easy kill. Top lane in check. The first blood taken on the Caitlyn. So bottom lane actually pretty close in those terms, but definitely Karma's doing a lot better right there, and she can poke the hell out of Caitlyn. That Caitlyn has a little bit of healing, and Lucky Duke is playing Nami this time, so Ebb and Flow is available all the time. But it's not going to make it so much easier anyway. And once again, it is a repeatable gank in the top lane apparently. The red buff has not yet disappeared, and they do have the snares, the stuns, and they don't want to continue the fight. It was quite surprising to me that Dawn Arts has fallen back, because just the auto attacks might have been enough to win the fight. Instead, he sacrificed his top laner, but he does get the double kill. Unexpecting DTL to rotate a little bit, but still not the worst outcome from this one by ESG. But I like that Impact Gaming also tried to do something. I don't like that their top laner a little bit recklessly teleporting into the top, dying a little bit too quickly, but then the double buff for DTL might change it all. One kill for LeBlanc already. She's not doing so well in terms of the CS in the middle lane, as Ahri is out farming her. But that double buff could give her the edge she needs. So right now DTL definitely has to give his best to try and dominate the mid lane too. Once again, Ivern shows up in the top lane. Cannon spots that out very easily. But that gives Rumble just a little bit of an advantage in the creeps. He was behind by 10. Now he starts evening the things out a tiny bit. Oh, a bubble hits in the bottom lane. Oh, Caitlyn needed another auto attack, but there is the healing that I was talking about. A little bit of safety Then Unlucky Duke just provides for Trust, and that's enough. He was ignited, but just the ebb and flow was able to keep him alive. But then Big Fat also was able to flash away. So that's gotta be a little bit sad for Impact Gaming, because that could have brought them back also at the bottom lane. The mid laner got a kill on the top lane. The top gank by Chikisimo was not so bad. He got 2 assists out of this one. Unfortunately, he got the second death on the Rumble, but it's not so bad. But then getting a kill on the bottom lane would have got the entirety of the map back into the game. The volley misses, and Pandar actually dies for nothing. Now Chikisimo joins the fight, and he already used up his flash with missing the root. It's a little bit bad because, yeah, burning the flash not to even land any bits of damage on towards the enemy. It's not good at all. But solely the kill on support is already fine, especially as Trust got it. So he's got 1-1-0. Soon he might be falling back to the base as the enemy is already back there. So there's a little bit of time. The lane is not going to be frozen so much. Actually, Big Fat did not recall, but Trust did, and he's going to go for a BF sword right off the bat. Adds a dagger. He's not going to have boost of mobility, but he might not need that. He's still got an army to support him. Well, 4-3 in terms of the kills, but the kills don't matter so much. After all, 500 gold difference, and that's pretty much nothing. Divided between every single player out there, and it's just 100 gold for each champion. So that's pretty much nothing. The equalizer used up in the top lane just for the farming purposes. And why QQQ might be a little bit behind in the XP right here. Indeed, that's 7 versus 6. The cannon also bullying him a little bit, going for a stun. And yeah, that's it. I have to say, I cannot say I'm a little bit disappointed at that, because I would love to see a little bit more intense of a trade, especially with equalizer used up. I would see the slicing maelstrom working there, but yeah, simply Rumble was a little bit too close to the turret in order to make that work. Elise with a repel, also not able to catch up. She doesn't have level 6 just yet. So possibly getting that could be a little bit of a priority, and DTL wins the fight against Crossman in the middle, and so easily. And it didn't really seem like Crossman was so active right there, but of course the ethereal chains are a big pain in the neck. And just like that, the mid laner of IG got the second kill. This is where the danger begins. The top laner, QIQ, as that Ramble, has a little bit of trouble. Indeed, yeah, he had to use up the equalizer just to farm. Now has to flash away from the slicing maelstrom, and overall he's behind by 20 in CS. In the middle lane, DTL, just by rotating to the top lane, losing a little bit in terms of the creeps, he managed to get a kill. That kill helps him get another right now in the middle. Evened out to the CS is perfectly fine. Trust was able to kill Pandar, the enemy support, and they made Big Fat really uncomfortable. And now the big fun begins. Trust once again ignited, but once again the ebb and flow is there to save him. He did not have to use up his summoner spell heal, but the flash is burned, but in return for a flash and ignite indeed. So not too bad of a trade. Don Arts finds Chikisimo, but he's 1 level behind. He's got no mana. He's got the support of cannon though, and with that, 1 more Q would have stunned, but there is no stun just yet. There are no more stacks applied by the auto attacks too, because he's a little bit too far to throw out these auto attacks. Crossman, oh, he could be at a very dangerous place, but manages to fall back straight towards the middle. DTL did not cut him off from the other side. So no kills out of this situation, but we do have some trades out there with IG still trying to invade the enemy jungle, which is interesting. They try to take over the initiative, and a flash, a surprising flash even from Unlucky Duke. Maybe they were expecting an EAC going their way, but that's going to be a very dead Ash, and Pandar has nowhere to go, but he boosts himself still. He's got a little bit of a shield right there, and QIQ, can you get some more done right there? Kennen jumps down, but Kennen's pretty low on health, and he's going to get finished off by DTL, and DTL also gets the kill on Crossman. He has to, with that shield on QIQ. He will survive, and Donards comes in from the wrong angle, and that is 4 kills for just 1. 4-0 right now on DTL. Amazing. And just like that, Impact Gaming will be taking over the lead. These guys have only evened out the gold. It's 17.8 to 17.8. So it's dead close right here. But I feel like in these team fights, in the map control, Impact Gaming are just bouncing back from the first moments. Remember, the first blood was actually in the jungle areas. Trust died really quickly into the game, and that prevented Chikissimo from invading the enemy jungle, as he's also lost his flash right there. So he was slightly pointless as that Ivern. Ivern is all about counter jungling. Now he's able to go back into that. He's able to go back into the enemy jungles. He's already stolen the raptors. He's gonna be able to rack up some more experience for himself. And with DTL having 4 kills, that is a monster LeBlanc that's forming up right here. And I don't know if many people will be able to survive her. Ari, not really. Elise, not yet. Kennen, well, he's got a wit sense right now, so maybe a little bit of magic resistance is in there, but it's not a lot, definitely. Big Fats, I don't think so. He's going to be dead in no time. So Pandra, you will have to very carefully choose his targets for shielding. And, well, there we go. That's a little bit of a dive of Big on QIQ in the middle. Repel, of course, is going to save Don Arts. So the equalizer might have even not been so good of an idea. Possibly farming up with it would have been of better use, because expecting an Elise not to have a repel underneath the turret is a bit naive. Still 20 CS behind. At least that top lane remains in the lead for ESG, because other than that, they're not doing so well on the map. And the structures also become pretty important, because the first turret of the game goes straight into the hands of the German team, while Impact Gaming are still very far from taking any turrets. None of the turrets on the map is low. So you see the one in the middle has full HP. I bet the one in the top lane is pretty much the same. And the one in the bot lane is the one I'm unsure of, but yeah, just the graphical representation of the HP on the map tells me that it's still fairly healthy. Ivern and LeBlanc actually venturing into the enemy jungle. And not only is, Ivern focusing on counter jungling all the time, but also he's going to be focusing on ganking, killing Big Fat. Luckily enough, he's running away. He did not stop to save his teammate, but actually realized that something's wrong if there's such an aggressive engage with the tidal wave from Unlucky Duke. And just a finisher from the ace in a whole, very simple double kill for IG right there in the bottom lane. And now there's a chance to gather a structure. And indeed, that turret has only lost like 200, 300 points of health. Now it's going to be destroyed. Daisy, of course, killed off by it, but then there's another wave of minions with a cannon minion and another joining in, so more than enough to tank it up. And that's 1-1 in terms of the turrets, but in the middle, also Crossman is doing something, is tinkering around the outer middle turret, and indeed has dealt a little bit of damage to it, quite considerable even, but he didn't destroy it yet. Now 10-8. In terms of gold, it's still 300 difference in favor of ESG, so they still have something, but it's not much. It's nothing too considerable. And Dawn Arts is going to take the Rift Herald. QIQ is once again caught in the top lane. ESG are still working around their strengths, and that's what I like. Dawn Arts is definitely having a much better game than last time, this time. 4-1-1 on the Elise, compared to the Kazakhs, who was farming all the time and not doing anything. That's real nice to see. Now he takes the Rift Herald. It's amazing, because at the same time, they took out the enemy top laner. Of course, Rumble is still going to be about hitting that good equalizer in the team fight, and with the rest of the team doing as good as they do, it is going to be enough. is going to be good enough, definitely. Plus, he's also going for the Zonia, he's already going for the Zonia's Hourglass. He's got the Seeker's Arm Guard right there, so you can clearly see that he's stacking up towards it. And with that Zonia's Hourglass, he's not going to be so easy to kill anymore. There's a redemption on Ivern, so he could provide some support if he's going to be close enough. So he's not going to be bullied so much in that top lane. And as I mentioned, the rest of the team is also fine. The problem is going to be if Kennen gets a little bit overfed, because then with his Slicing Maelstrom, he's going to do so much in the team fights. Now, Enchanted Crystal Arrow is completely missed in the middle lane. The Cloud Drake is still standing. In the previous match, we saw the first dragon being taken at around 17 or 18 minutes mark. But it was a Cloud Drake, and Supernova took it, while Gameister took over the jungle later on, and they got the better spoils. They got the Infernal and Mountain Drake, so not sure if both the teams realize that if they take that Cloud Drake, they could be exposing themselves to some great danger in the Dragon Pit area later on, if there is some better dragon. Now a small wave of minions in the middle. It isn't enough to gather up the turrets. Root, stun, everything on the worst case about he's gonna fall. The Crossman very aggressively, but survives with no stacks of Spirit Rush left. It was really close to his death actually, but nobody decided to chase him. That's just a 1-for-nothing trade in here. And a little bit of that turret still was chipped away, so it's not so bad. But then the Rift Herald is summoned, and it's going to be running at that middle inner turret. It's going to do a ton of damage. It's important to just hold it alive. And for sure they will do it. But after all, they're losing a lot of this team fight. So yeah, they did do a little bit of damage to that middle turret. Well, in return, they lost more than half of the inner in the middle to the Rift Herald. So no. It ain't enough. And the Infinity Edge plus the Zeal on Caitlyn. On the other side, we've got the Blade of the Runekin alone on Ashe. So still looking for these Runaan's Hurricanes. In the middle, Hextech Gunblade completed on both LeBlanc and the Ahri. The top lane still just a Wits End followed up by a Hex Drinker, so for the amount of action that we see in the top lane, I feel like the Kennen is ramping up a little bit slowly. But then possibly he's got a lot of money on his pockets and he's just not backed for quite a bit of time. Still no Desto on the LeBlanc, and it's going to become slightly problematic at some point. So one more hit from the Daisy. Doesn't matter that he repelled. Still not going to disappear, but he's getting the movement speed boost, and that's enough. Oh, Tidal Wave knocks him off, but nobody really chases anymore. Now, is the Dragon their focus, or are they going to try to catch Crossman? That definitely is a possibility, and the Spirit Rush is already used up. So, unlucky that Impact Gaming did not notice that, did not want to chase him around, because that could have been an easy kill on the enemy's mid laner. The Drake, though, is taken, but it's still just a Cloud Drake, really late into the game. It's 19 minutes in. I don't know what the next Dragon is going to be, would love to see that, but, well, hoping for that to be something useful, because that's going to force a team fight, definitely, and we need one. We need to see something bigger happen in here, because these teams for now are way too close, but still cannot decide which one of them has the lead. Both of the teams doing really well. That for sure. ESG always able to reply, but for now seems like Impact Gaming, they have the control right here. Like, they have a little bit more map control. They walk into the enemy's jungle. They try to take it over, but every single time ESG is able to reply, every single time, at least in the top lane, something tends to happen. What a lot of damage right now on towards Unlucky Duke, but he's gonna stay alive, and Pander is gonna die instead. Donar's trying to just won the round that team fight still. Maybe possibly trying to catch the enemy support, but as he realizes he's not going to do that, jumps up towards the plant, jumps over to the Baron pit, takes the risk scuttler. It's going to be important to have the vision around that part of the map after they lost one player of their team, but the turret is destroyed too, and ESG still taking something out of this, and Unlucky Duke now does not have the means of escape anymore. The volley hits Ivern, but Ivern might be in just as much danger as the Nami at the moment. Slicing Maelstrom used up, and Don Arts is going to secure that kill. That might be the first death of the LeBlanc that we see right here. Not really. Wow, after the burst coming in from Ahri, LeBlanc does not only lifesteal enough, or rather spellbound enough to have half HP again, but there's nothing left for Ahri. She cannot do anything anymore, and then the distortions flow in, the sigils of Malice, and here we go. QQYQ is going to die again. So I said, Impact Gaming, they have the right to dictate what's going to happen next in the game, but every single time there's a reply in the form of something in the top lane from ESG, and by that moment Impact Gaming should have learned that every single time they do something on the map, they're going to lose their top laner. And I don't know why QQIQ always dies there. Now, DTL is going to try to jump in, nukes down Pandar, and he's going to be pretty happy with it. 6-0-1. Still escapes many of these times, but it's not going to be the one time he does it. Finally shut down, and it is Crossman who actually gets this kill. Crossman could also be very lethal. We're talking about that LeBlanc a lot, but Ahri is also not really neglectable. There we are. Trust also eliminated, and ESG are taking over the lead again. Jakissimo should be able to run away, but still the Baron area is taken in control by ESG. Spirit Rush was ready. There's the equalizer, but not good enough of an equalizer. It did not block off the 3 more people that were running right after Jakissimo. He gets hit by Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It's got to be a Baron. It's got to be a Baron for ESG right now. They do have enough HP. They do have their jungler available. The enemy jungler is dead. They also killed off the AD carry. There is no vision for Impact Gaming right there. But the question is, do they have the damage? Because in here, Unlucky Duke, okay, he's out of the tidal wave for half the cooldown more. QQQ, why QQQ? He does not have the equalizer, of course, as he just used it up to try and help Jakissimo run away from there. An easy zone by the Slicing Maelstrom from the top laner of ESG, and that's the Baron taken by the German team. But this game is extremely close. It's a really close matchup that we do get to see right here. And as I mentioned, for Euronics, it's just a matter of correcting the behavior of their jungler. The jungler, just take a look at how well he plays this time. 6-1-5. He's always in the right spot. He's always helping out a team. He's got some great escapes on his account already, always running away from these turrets, losing the aggro with the repel, and it's such a simple play, but he tricks the enemies time and time again by that, and ESG corrected that. They could definitely win against Impact Gaming, but then Impact Gaming are also giving their best, so they're still fighting, and with that, I believe both these teams have enough to be able to battle Supernova. I'm not talking about beating them just yet, but there definitely is a chance to fight against them on equal terms. There we go, Don Arts. Ooh, a little bit of danger for him right there. Repel used up, but he's got nowhere to go. He's not going to jump into the trap though. Now he walks straight into it, but it doesn't matter since Crossman joins the fight. And he gets the first kill, continues up to try and get the double. That's stolen by support. But most importantly, they get the kills. Now coming in from behind, it's going to be QQIQ. And he does not really do too much. Zonia's Hourglass to try and deliver as much as possible with the flamethrower, but he's as good as dead right after Zonia's runs out. And, well, Kennen exposed to a little bit of damage, but he's going to try to chase down the Nami. It does not work. DTL still alive. It's going to be very important for that LeBlanc to isolate one single target for kill someone important on the enemy team, because it's possible. But, yeah. Is he actually going to go for it? Now the turrets are being destroyed all over the place, in the bottom, in the middle. Though in the middle, that's an inhib turret. And that's something of a little bit of a bigger caliber. And indeed, after the Cloud Drake comes the Infernal, and we see a very similar situation to what we saw in the Supernova versus Gameiser. Supernova took the Cloud Drake, the useless one, then in that case it was Impact Gaming, then ESG continue to take the Infernal and possibly a Mountain Drake next up. It would be actually the same scenario. It would be surprising to see the 3 same first Drakes in 2 games in a row. But it surely is mathematically possible. $617 compared to $065. That's a huge comparison between the junglers, and it makes me think that maybe it is because Don Arts is supposed to be such an Ivern player that he knows his champion well enough in order to be able to play against that extremely well. And anyway, I also think that many mistakes made by QIQ in the top lane with that Rumble forced Impact Gaming into that situation, because he'd always given that option to the enemy team. So no matter what Impact Gaming do, ESG don't have to worry, because they're not behind, because they're not losing the tempo, the impact, that momentum that I was talking about so much over the entirety of the 3 days, because they can always take the top lane. Now, great engage from DTL, but is he going to be staying alive after this one? Ebb and Flow catches Crossman, and I think that even the Ignite would be enough to finish him off. So, at the end of the day, it is yet another good situation for Impact Gaming. Now it's going to slow down ESG a little bit. These guys have taken the Baron, and they took out so 1 inhibitor turret, 1 inner turret, and that's it pretty much. So I think they could have gotten something more out of this Baron kill, but they also didn't do too bad. It's not like they didn't do anything. Well, getting close to the 30 minutes mark, and we still don't yet see a clear victor in here. Indeed, ESG's got a little bit of an advantage in terms of the structures, but next time if Impact Gaming win a good team fight, they could retake all these turrets in no time. So now it's all about that next team fight happening. Possibly. Oh, there we go. Chiquissimo is going to get caught out. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow always works. The good old arrow. Now it's going to be a little bit of a bad decision from 999999 or whatever his nickname is. The top laner of ESG, of course. As he jumps in without Sonia's Hourglass straight into the entirety of the enemy team. The Slicing Maelstrom can do something, but QIQ just uses his Zonias to avoid it completely, and nobody else was in the range. So he got obliterated, and that's a 1-for-1. The jungler is dead, alright. ESG achieved something, but there's nothing on the map that they can take out of this one. So the jungler's death's not so important when they lose their top laner, who very much is. As, of course, the top was where they found the most success. Every single time Donards was able to successfully gank there. Every single time that Kennen was able to get some kills for himself. Well then, in terms of the farm, it slowly but surely will start to lose importance, but still it's just the 30th minute. I feel like we did not get to see any really extended match this far in this tournament. Like, we did not have a 50 minutes match or something. These usually end around like 35 minutes mark. Well then, once again it slows down, but with a Baron alive, with a Dragon coming back up in 1 minute and 10 seconds, I would really like to know what this dragon is. Well then, everybody focusing on that, of course. The red buff also is going to be taken by Ivern and donated over to his AD carry, if I'm not mistaken. And trust, definitely a lot of trust is put by his teammate into him right now. Infinity Edge, Quickfire Cannon, the Runan's Hurricane, and Executioner's Call. All the items he's got right there. I feel like he's still a little bit stronger than Ash, just because he's got these complete items, the cannon out there. But Ash is still trying to finish her next core item. And yeah, in terms of gold, this does not look much better for him, but just having the entire items is just so important right here. And right now, a big advantage in favor of the mid laner of ESG, and I cannot say I'm surprised by that, but I expected DTL to be doing a little bit better with what he's been doing throughout the game. Now the dragon is stolen by Chikisimo, interestingly enough, but he's gonna die right after, and he also lost trust. Now it's gonna be a kill towards Unlucky Duke, and DTL is being caught up by Kennen. Well, Kennen does not have good enough skill set to be able to chase a LeBlanc truly, but at least they're going to take an inhibitor off of that. And I'm not too sure whether they're not going to be trying to finish the game. Do they have good enough minion waves, though? They don't even have a cannon minion. That's a little bit unlucky. The cannon minion will be coming in about 20 seconds. And the Zonia's Hourglass, not too good from QIQ. He's going to be dead. That's an ace. Oh my goodness, they just brute force their way through the two remaining enemies. And they will be taking this game home. Euronics Gaming, they knock out Impact Gaming out of this one, but it was not the easiest task, definitely. The Italian team, they actually had the lead. They actually were the ones in front for quite a bit of time right here. But at the end of the day, ESG managed to triumph, and they will face off against Supernova. They might have a little bit better of a shot at Supernova than Impact Gaming had. And with their jungler working so fine on that Elise, the Elise is open now for him, definitely. We'll be looking forward to that. The Ivern might also be. So I have high hopes for Euronics. So indeed, this match was not disappointing. After all, I hope that this group can still get completely mixed up because of this match.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also impressive to see how Donards really got his way back into the game after losing the first game for his team versus Gameiser. And now he really had a great performance, really impressive what he did there and carrying his team to the victory. Next up, going against Supernova. I hope that he can really go on with that. And I hope that he just found his flow and found his play style. And maybe then they will be able to take on Supernova and maybe Gameiser, but that's a far shot from here.